Hey there! Welcome back to our channel. Today, we will talk about how to test motorcycle battery. It is pertinent for everyone who owns a motorcycle to know how to test motorcycle batteries. This is particularly important because a bad battery means hell. Imagine getting stuck in a deserted place because the motorcycle couldn't kickstart, which is one major sign of a bad battery. To avoid this sudden disappointment, it is vital that you know how to test motorcycle battery. There are some kinds of tests that you could carry out on your battery. These tests are carried out with some tools. Constantly employing these tests and tools would ensure that nothing, battery-wise, takes you by surprise. Inasmuch as tests abound for testing motorcycle batteries, not all of them would be practicable. Not all of them would do the job perfectly either. In this video, however, we would pick the ones that have shown results and would definitely be worth your time and money. Listed here are some of the ways one can use to test to see if the battery is still sound. On some occasions, it is possible to know that the battery is not sound by just observing the battery well. So, before using any test method in this video, ensure that you have properly observed the battery and cannot find any obvious fault. Here are some of the things you could check for. Discoloration of the battery. Swelling of the battery. Damaged terminal. Excess battery leakage. Broken plastic. Damaged terminals are deadly and could lead to a short-circuiting of the electrical system. You can know if there was a short-circuiting when there is a sign that something burned or melted. When there is a short-circuiting, the battery unloads all of its power at once. Consequently, the battery will burst open due to excessive heat. But if nothing like that happened, but there is a swell in the battery, then you must have overcharged the battery. It should also be worthy of note that some physical damages to the battery like holes, splits, and cracks may not prevent it from working. But they are largely unsafe. If you are making use of a wet cell, you have to ensure that the water level is not too low. If the water level is low, then you should top up distilled water. A wet cell battery should not even be left to dry up. If a wet cell battery is dry, it can cause damage to the battery. This is because the dryness leaves the cell plates vulnerable to the actions of oxygen. At this point, sulfation occurs. And when you try charging the battery, it would only burn. Furthermore, if water is still present in the cell but dirty, this is yet another sign that the battery is not in good condition. The same effect 5 dirty cells have is the same effect 1 dirty cell would have. Hence the need to either replace the dirty water with a fresh supply or change the battery entirely. Again, before you start testing the battery for faults, there are other things that you might want to check. You could confirm that the fault is not from the fob, which may be using a battery. You can also check other stuff on the motorbike that can cause your bike not to start. Do you have the side stand up? Did you pull in your clutch? Some modern motorbikes would not start unless you do those two things. These might not be faults from the battery, but they sure would prevent your motorcycle from starting. How to test motorcycle battery. One of the fastest ways to test the battery of your bike is doing the headlamp test. You do not need much to do this. Just switch on the headlamp of your bike and go before the bike to see how bright your headlamp is. Usually, a dim or weak headlamp is a perfect sign that your battery cannot start the motorcycle. This only works if the motorcycle headlamp can come on without running the motorcycle. So, this will not work for those motorcycles that require you to start the bike first before switching on the lamp. However, there is a way around this. But this is only if you are in a garage or a workshop. What can you do? You can connect a headlamp to your battery and see how bright or dim the light is. The voltage reading test. The voltage reading of the battery is another sure way to determine if the battery has a charge or not. Do note, however, that the voltage test is not for every battery out there. The test is only for AGM batteries and lead-acid batteries. Batteries that are not any of the above named, like lithium batteries, may have another way to test them. If you have these, then consult the producer of your battery. So, how do you test the voltage of the battery? Quite easy. You just need to get a multimeter. The multimeter is also referred to as a digital volt and ohm meter. It is called DVOM for short. For you to know how much charge is present in the battery, you have to connect the leads to a multimeter. The lead in black color would have to go to the port which is labeled COM. This stands for common ground. The lead colored red would have to go to the port which is labeled V. Tune the multimeter so that it is on the 20 volts DC part of its scale. Some of the multimeters like the auto ranging meter do not have the scale, so you can tune the multimeter to the V. Be sure that the motorbike is turned off completely before doing all of these. Place the lead colored black to the battery's negative terminal. Place the lead colored red to the battery's positive terminal. You can now check the voltage of your battery. Now, the battery of motorcycles and even cars are 12 volts. But if the battery is 12 volts only, then you have a challenge. Your battery is low and you may either have to charge or get a new battery. Voltage cranking test. This can be done by any mechanic workshop around you. You can also carry out the test at home all by yourself. For this test, which is also known as the load test, you also make use of the digital voltmeter that was used to do the voltage test. Unlike the voltmeter test, the cranking test can only be used when the battery is fully charged. This is the only way to get a result that is correct. So, how can you do the voltage cranking test? First off, you have to pull up the seat of the bike and make sure that you can reach the terminals of your battery. You do not have to disconnect your motorcycle battery because you would need the charge to start your motorbike. Connect the digital voltmeter exactly the way you connected it while taking the voltmeter test. Place negative lead to the negative terminal and the positive lead to the positive terminal. You can get an extra hand to help in starting the bike. As the starter spins, you can check the voltage. If the battery is in good shape, then the voltage should not be lower than 9.6 V in a period of 10 seconds. When you carry out this test and find the voltage dropping, there is an error. If the voltage just drops to zero, then that is even a bigger problem. This problem is called an open cell. It is caused by the sulfation as mentioned earlier. This test is carried out with a load because open cells tend to give false voltage results when you do the voltage reading test. But the true voltage exposes the true voltage that is contained in the battery. Any battery that fails the load test may not serve better if charged. The best thing is to replace the battery. Current draw exam. If you have the toaster, also known as load tester, you can use it to test the battery. There is no one rule for testers for all batteries. Many manufacturers have testers with unique ways of measuring current. Hence, it is important that you check the user manual of the tester. The current draw exam is said to be better and more liberal than the voltage cranking test. Carbon stacks tend to act like a real electric load. It would hook up if the handler pressed the button that is spring-loaded. This adds electric load and helps you check out how the battery is performing or would perform under load. Using a hydrometer temperature compensated to carry out the load test. The hydrometer is not that expensive. You can use it to carry out the load test. The use of the hydrometer is to check for the battery's specific gravity. This is a very viable way of checking how much charge is present in the battery. How so? The battery's specific gravity decreases as the battery discharges. So, you could say that specific gravity is directly proportional to the current present in the battery. This is also evident since the gravity increases as you charge your battery. The hydrometer is used for checking the density of a liquid against that of a similar quantity of water. Batteries with lead-acid cells have gravity that equals 1.265 when the temperature is at 80 degrees F. So, to read the gravity at varying temperatures, here is what to do. Add 0.004 per 10 degrees above 80. Then subtract 0.004 per 10 degrees under 80 degrees. Starting a motorcycle with a battery that has lost charge. One of the commonest ways of doing this is to push start the motorcycle. You have to sit astride the motorbike and get 1 or 2 persons to push the motorcycle. Push starting proper. Slot in your key and make sure the ignition is on. When this is done, you can set the bike to the second gear. This would help make sure the motorbike does not twitch. The motorcycle would have to be moving at least 5 miles per hour for this to work. When this speed is achieved, you quickly drop the bike's clutch. Push the motorcycle starter again. As soon as the engine roars to life, pull your motorbike's clutch in and rev up the engine a little bit. After that, you are good to go. When you are alone and have no one to push the bike for you, get it to a hilly area or a small incline. Safely and slowly get the bike to roll and gain speed. Push the bike on the left side. Once the 5 miles per hour speed is achieved, you can jump on the bike and drop your clutch. Push your starter. As soon as the engine roars to life, pull back your clutch in. Rev your bike and ride away. Another method of getting your motorcycle started even when the battery is low or dead, is by jump starting the motorcycle. How can you do this? Get a charged battery, join the positive terminal of the dead battery, and the charged one using red cables. Then with your black cable, join either engine or chassis to the dead battery's negative terminal. When the engine comes to life, detach the cable at the negative terminal, then remove the red one on the battery's positive side. Ensure that the 2 wires do not touch themselves. In conclusion, it is important that we pay more attention to our motorcycle batteries. Most times, we do not care about the battery until damage occurs or the battery has completely lost charge. This attitude should change. For the good of the rider and the longevity of their battery. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also, drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site, www.zimmotorbike.com, for more awesome motorbike content like this.